call the meeting to order. Will you join me in the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And mute the phone. This is a public hearing on the county taking on the electrical program. Can you give us a little brief on it for the sake of the public?
We've been, Jennifer and I have been working on this for probably 7 months, 6-7 months now. What the state had the electrical program, which is a separate from the building side. Electrical is its own deal. And so this will be the first time Lake County has obtained the electrical program. So now the money that's obtained from the permits and fees stay here.
Now, is this for residential and commercial?
Correct.
And the state have always held that as their implementation, so permit fees and everything went to the state.
Correct.
Now we'll take it on and we'll retain the permit fees and so forth.
Correct. Yep.
Can you give a little estimate of how much work's out there on the electrical and related?
I don't have the sheet in front of me and has it broken down. It's probably, well, this 2019 year coming in with Red Rock will be big numbers. So there's already, well, I don't want to talk numbers yet.
Yeah.
Mel, do you have those?
27,500 is the estimate.
Okay, that's the estimate. Yeah.
So just for the news media, there's only one commissioner apparently on the film, but for the audience, we do have Commissioner Sound engaged remotely by phone, so there is 2 of us for a phone.
No. Yeah, coming into the 2019 year should be extremely well. And then with the hire of the A-level electrical inspector, everything's right on track. So,
Who is the A1 electrical inspector?
that'd be Gene Duffy. Yep. So
We're talking about the building
Yep.
department.
Yep. So we set this goal for the 2018 and have now met it. So everything's right on track.
Well, this is a public hearing and it's 3 minutes after 9. I'll still hold it open in case somebody comes in the last minute.
Sure.
If nobody comes in by 5 after, then I'll close the session.
Perfect.
Any other updates, just for general knowledge?
We're spent quite a bit of time last week with the Red Rock development. They have poured 1, 2, 3, I believe 4 pads for their tanks, which also included some grounding and bonding on the electrical side. So things are moving right along with them.
So they're basically still doing a lot of dirt and gravel, but they do have concrete pads.
They got stuff in the ground. Yep.
That's a positive sign.
Yep, they've got some big pads for these tanks and the rebar and so on and so forth. But I was working with them to get that poured before the weather starts to hit. So
When do they anticipate foundation for the main facility?
I haven't quite spoken with them on that, whether they're going to wait till the spring or whether they're going to try to put it in soon. That's kind of the next talk we're having. I'm still waiting on some plans throughout there so we can move that along. But as of now, they're probably they're about $500,000 in the permit portion of it. And that's just getting started. So that's been a plus.
I'll give a little update I have. As you know, broadband internet is one cable of CenturyLink predominantly. We do have power server microwave. But it's been our goal to get backup redundancy and capacity increased. And I've been talking with 2 companies that has interest in this area. The problem is like running from here to, or from Paisley now, we have backup for Paisley, but to run it from Paisley to Lapine as backup or increased capacity and or increase, it'd be just prohibitive for one of our small cable companies to do it because it's hardly any, that's 100 miles or almost no customers. But I've got the 2 companies talking together because one trench is cheaper than 2.
Yeah.
And they're hinting that maybe in 2 years, we may have backup and increased capacity. That would be a big, big deal for our little community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is there any news on Avista and natural gas?
Not yet. That is really still hinged on Jordan Cove.
Mhm.
Because if Vista can't, through the PUC, that typically, as you know, 3 years, they have to recoup their funding. With the hospital and school being geothermal, they don't need natural gas, so they don't have the big upfront customers. We've got Collins and Orlite, but not quite enough to recoup. When I was on that Senate committee, PUC was kind of willing to go 7 years payback, and Vista still could not quite pencil to bring it in from Red Rock and distribute it through the community. But Jordan Cove, one of their criteria to FERC is how do they benefit lateral communities. Now, first thing that comes to mind is Lakeview is not a lateral community of Jordan Cove pipeline, if Jordan Cove pipeline goes through. But we are adjacent community of the Ruby pipeline, of which the Jordan Cove parent companies own half interest in. So they can claim us as lateral community. And that's where they have offered up $4 million to help Vista. But it's totally contingent on them getting their pipeline to Coos Bay.
Okay.
So personally, I'm favorable of the pipeline. There's some risk because of the young geological mountains and fault lines and all kind of things like that. But if they do the state-of-the-art implementation, then it's no different than any other place. But that would grossly also help all the communities along that route with benefits from the pipeline. And it would help our trade deficit also, because they've already got contingent agreements with some of the Japan and other West Pacific countries, more than $10 billion worth of agreements if they get the pipeline and ship it over to them. It's fingers crossed on that one.
Yep, yep.
Get broadband internet here, get Red Rock here, get natural gas in the community. Might put us back on the map again.
Yeah, yeah, and then that Obsidian solar project,
Yes.
if that went through, that
That'd be a big deal.
would be a big deal. So, good deal.
So, I'm not hearing everyone real well. Is the hearing still open?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
but it's been 9 minutes and no public participation, so I'll go ahead and close the hearing at this time, at 9 minutes after 9 o'clock.
I'll make a motion then that we approve ordinance number 32D as presented.
I'll second the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
All right.
Motion carries.
Thanks
for the good
again,
work on it.
Kenny and Jennifer and everyone.
You bet. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm off today, Dale. We have a professor from Yale University doing